The Polaris Slingshot is one of the weirdest vehicles to ever hit the streets. It also has a really unique culture around it where the motorcycle enthusiast and car enthusiast from every corner have either dismissed it or completely embraced it as a fun toy for the road. However, this thing doesn't have the best or most consistent reputation. Some people think they are dangerous, that only having 3 wheels is inherently a flaw, or they are just made fun of with no prior experience. A great example is my buddy CJ, who, and I quote, said, "All I see driving that is middle-aged men with beer bellies and their wives who aren't having fun in the passenger seat." Yikes, that was not very nice. Polaris emailed me and said, "Hey, you want to give the Slingshot R a try? Have it as long as you want and drive it wherever you want." So I asked the question, should the Slingshot be taken more seriously as an enthusiast vehicle? Let's find out. This is Living with a Polaris Slingshot. When you get in the Slingshot, it's unlike anything. It makes just over 200 horsepower and is about 1,600 pounds. It also has a brand new 4-cylinder engine and automatic transmission that Polaris developed in-house. They got rid of the generic General Motors engine that was from, say, the Pontiac Solstice, Cobalt, Saturn Sky, you name it. It just didn't have a lot of character. So they figured, hey, let's develop our own engine. I did ask if they had a manual, but they really wanted to show off the auto since it's brand new and made by them. The closest thing I've driven to the Slingshot is the Compagna T-Rex, but they really didn't let me get on it that much, so I really didn't get to truly experience it or the speed of it. The first thing I did in the Slingshot was hop on the highway, and it went just about what you expected. See that expression under the helmet? You guessed right. The ride itself is actually very smooth. It's the wind that knocks you around 70 miles an hour. So I made it to the mountains in about an hour and a half, and then it started to rain. Perfect timing. Okay, what you're about to witness is maybe not the smartest thing in the world, but I'm gonna drive the Slingshot possibly in the rain. Is it ideal? Absolutely not. I came to this mountain, I'm committing, regardless if it's gonna rain or not. I'm actually more concerned about my camera equipment, but it'll be all right. I think we'll be okay. By the way, just like a Lamborghini, it's in the center. The seatbelt, I keep reaching this way. And it's actually not the only thing comparative to a Lamborghini, which I'll get to later. What I have noticed though, is that, see look, that's first gear and I'm rolling backwards. What I've noticed though is that if you don't know how to drive this off the line, it spins tires a lot. Yep. In between gear shifts, you kind of do this, just like the first gen Aventador used to do. And that's what I mean by also having in common with the Lamborghini. As I drove the mountain, I realized that as long as you drive the Slingshot with proper driving techniques like braking in a straight line, don't brake mid-corner, and you apply power exiting your corners, you are pretty much good. You have to be one terrible driver to spin this thing out with the automatic. The motor in this thing I think is fine, but man, do I have some thoughts on the brand new automatic. Okay, so Polaris Mountain first impressions. It's a transmission. Transmission I need control over, period. That's what I need. A manual in this, I would be having an absolute blast. To me, this thing needs a manual because you finally kind of get the hang of getting momentum in this thing because you know you're only 1,600 pounds. Once you get yourself going, you start feeling it out and going, oh, so this is how it works, right? This is how you have to go back and forth. That's how you do your steering input, but you just need to get in that gear that you want to be in. That's the difficult part. And also driving on one wheel in the back is still giving me like the heebie-jeebies because I just don't know what to expect. The closest thing I've driven to this is the T-Rex, and that was a few years ago, and they didn't really even let me truly get on it because they're like, it's a 3-wheeled vehicle. It's different. You don't know what you're doing. And I was like, okay, well, I need to at least see where the limit is, right? I need to see, or not where the limit is, but see where it can go comfortably. And I'm starting to get the hang of it with this thing, but it's definitely a little bit of a learning curve, but not as much of a learning curve as I expected it was going to be. I will say though, the steering wheel while I'm on the mountains feels very, very nice. I'm actually very impressed with how they were able to waterproof all of this. Also, to get into the Slingshot it's kind of an art, really. All right, you ready? This is how you do it. Stick your right cheek in and then your left cheek in, and then you fall down in and dance it all around. I don't know, whatever. If you get hit right here, you're toast, dude. Believe it or not, the closest thing I can compare this to what I've driven before is not the T-Rex. It's actually when I drove a doorless limo during the beater car road trip from Orlando all the way to Miami, because there was nothing here, right? And I don't know what to think of it. Oh, okay.
Okay, you're good.
If you're at 60, 65 on the highway, it's manageable. You're not getting your helmet thrown all the way around all the time. But as soon as you hit 70 or 70 plus, you start feeling this backdraft right behind your head, and you start kind of doing this number. The gauges are very similar to what you find in the Polaris RZR. And along with that, you have a digital screen in the middle that tells you everything you need to know, really. I do have to say that the interior of this is way better than they used to be. The materials felt really cheap. I understood why that, you know, you had to waterproof them, right? I totally get that. But somehow, some way, you managed to make this waterproof interior way better. I mean, the leather seats are much nicer, and also the steering wheel's where it really shines. The other steering wheel felt like you're driving a piece of plastic. I really do mean that out of love that you've improved so much. Now, I just wish that with some sort of Triptronic or paddle shifters behind here, but there's not, and that makes me sad. I'm gonna go ahead and hit, oh, yep, that happens right when you hit the brake. It's got them chicken legs. Get a nice little startup screen. Also, this has the audio by speed feature, or sorry, volume by speed feature. So when you go faster, the music gets louder. We have our traction control button, which if you're a novice of driving one of these, I don't recommend turning, but I just did. Turned it back on. Visibility is about as good as it gets for what you're dealing with, so. But then you get next to something like that, and it's kind of intimidating. So what I do have to say too is you hear everything. You hear the motor working, you hear the transmission working, but the transmission is a single clutch like I talked about earlier, and it shifts really, really slow. When you get into it, it takes a second, and at the same time, you buck forward like this. That's when I really, really miss that third pedal or some kind of paddles, so I can go up the mountain in the gear I want to be in rather than it trying to choose for me. Sometimes automatic transmissions, even without paddles or Triptronics, are just fine. You can get by with it because the car kind of senses what it wants. This, I don't think, can tell what I want. That's the problem. Let's go for another drive. Let's do it. Also, there's not a lot of storage in this thing. This is now my imaginary friend that I buckle in and keep safe. In the arms of the angel. I keep reaching for the belt the other way. Okay, now drive. It's a lot like a bike, right? Because it's technically a motorcycle. So let off the gas, you go backwards. You add gas, it goes. Believe it or not, I spent about 7 hours of seat time in this thing in the mountains. I started to get why people enjoyed these. The open air is actually really nice. Your views are spectacular in the mountains, and it is a much larger improvement comfort-wise to the old Slingshot. But I couldn't help but think that people who used to ride motorcycles that can't anymore get in the Slingshot. Just a theory. Good morning, day 2 with the Polaris Slingshot, living with it. And you know what I noticed? Every time it's time to start this thing, it's like starting up a bus or a train maybe. All aboard! The next day I decided to take my good friend Eddie along for a ride. For more of an experiment, what does the average Joe think of the Slingshot? So we decided to go through a drive-through and hear people's thoughts. Eddie, youngest, oldest person you'll ever see.
Exactly.
Oh, I just hit my shin on the roll bar. What's your opinion on the looks of the Polaris?
So, you mentioned it a lot whenever we were talking, but I also noticed this, that the front looks great. It looks really, really good. But whenever you get to the back, it's really lacking something. I don't know what, but it just seems like it's lacking something.
One of our friends, Hunter, is a manager at Chick-fil-A, and he says that they have codes in their system describing vehicles. So when you get your order, that's why it's so fast there, that it'll say like white SUV or whatever. What the heck are they gonna put for a Slingshot? Blue thing.
We're about to find out.
Yep. Hello.
Hello, how are you guys doing today?
Good, how about you?
Good. What can I do for you guys today?
May I have a number 1 no pickle, please?
Do you mind if I take a picture of your car?
Yeah, that's fine.
I take pictures of like all the exotic cars and stuff.
Exotic.
I mean, honestly, it definitely has the looks in the front.
In the front, yeah.
To
Like,
get that
no, I
wow
mean,
factor.
guys, that just proves it.
Yeah.
Like a random dude at Chick-fil-A drive-thru is like, can I take a picture of it? If you're looking for attention, you'll get it in this thing, that's for sure. Look how big the key fob is.
Massive.
Massive, you can't lose this thing. Also the center console, when you lift it, it's like made of rubber. So you'll pull on it thinking you're gonna break something, but you're not. You just have to be a little forceful and it opens for you. Well, typically I hold it up, but I'm going through a drive-thru. So there's a seating compartment behind me. You just have to fold the seat up, but it didn't fit my camera bag, so I haven't used it yet. Yeah.
Y'all officially win like best car of the drive-thru today.
Oh, really?
Maybe the week, potentially the year.
You ever see these come through?
No,
Ever?
literally never.
Okay then. Well, good.
No, come back.
Well,
It's so fun.
sounds good. All right, does it say on the bag?
It says crossover.
We're a crossover?
It says blue crossover.
I guess because of the front, it's a cross. Okay, so a few things. No one sees you in this thing. We have been cut off how many times today?
At least 3 or 4. Something like that.
And I mean bad, like as in we're coming and they pull out right in front of us. How do you not see a bright blue Slingshot? We get a lot of looks, but also some thumbs up too. We just got one a few minutes ago. The Slingshot actually captures people's imagination. They think it's neat and cool. They think it's a $100,000 vehicle and not a $30,000 vehicle, which I will get to later. I was actually just so floored by the positive reception. If you want attention, the Slingshot is definitely for you. Eddie also had some words to say about the Slingshot that is encouraging for Polaris. All right, Eddie, so earlier off camera, you were talking about how you're actually like starting to understand why people have these.
Yeah, because honestly, having the roof as your sky, having the sky as your roof, I mean, and just kind of having fun with this vehicle, I can tell that this could be something that could be very, very fun in the mountains and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I kind of get it now.
Yeah, so when you're driving it around town, you know, it doesn't beat you up. It feels really nice. The air feels good. And like Eddie said earlier, like it's different of an experience than a convertible for sure. My final thoughts about living with a Polaris Slingshot as a platform is neat. It's different. It has the potential to be an even greater thing. The automatic holds this thing back. I have a newfound respect for the Slingshot for the sheer aspect I was excited to get back in it at times and keep driving. There's nothing like it. For the price point though, it is a little steep for me. What do you guys think about the Polaris Slingshot? Do you think it's underrated, overrated? Does it get too much of a bad rep? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And take it easy and have a wonderful day. This video is brought to you by Patterson Car Care. Get double of premium original detail product for half the price. Head over to PattersonCarCare.com or go to the link in the description below.